There we are. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Sabrina. How are you?
I'm good as well. Lovely that we managed to make time today and that we are finally meeting for our episode.
Absolutely. How beautiful that it has come into fruition today.
Yes, absolutely. So, before we get into the conversation, I'm very curious to see where it takes us today. I would love for you to introduce yourself to the audience and talk a bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I'm Vishnupriya Aristo, and I'm currently in India, even though I was in US for about 6 to 7 years. So after my primary, education, bachelor's degree, after my bachelor's degree, I went to US for my master's, and from there I started my own business there. But
Mm-hmm.
today I am the founder of the Zero Point Holistic Healing Center. I'm a holistic healing therapist and a holistic life coach. So I do
Mm-hmm.
a lot of coaching and healing, but that has come in as a result of my own life, and I guess that's what we'll be discussing. But that's the
Yes.
general introduction of me.
Awesome. Thanks for introducing yourself. And you already gave a hint to, what brought us together, which is basically your own life experience that led you to becoming a healer, so to speak. So tell us a little more about that. What happened, and how did you end up actually opening a whole center around the story of healing?
Yes, yes. And I myself am still looking back at my life. And as I said just last week, we have opened a physical holistic healing center
Mm-hmm.
in my city. And my big vision is also to have the Zero Point Holistic Healing Center, the physical center, with multiple centers in different parts, different cities. But let's go back a little bit. I'll tell you a little bit about how I ended up here. So as I said, I did my bachelor's in engineering and I went to US for my master's in engineering, and I also did my MBA right after that. And I started my own business. I was this kind of business girl from very young age. I was
Mm-hmm.
always, I really loved doing business by myself. So I started off an e-commerce business, where I was kind of selling products and home decoration items and things of that nature. It was going really well initial 2 to 3 years, especially since I had the MBA background and all of that. I guess I kind of launched it properly and it was a huge success in the initial 2 years. But the third year of the business, what happened was the marketing costs. We were doing a lot of Facebook paid advertising. That was the time when some kind of uh, shifts were happening in the Facebook advertising arena, and the costs went really high, and I was not able to sustain at that time. The sales
Mm.
dropped off, and the business literally kind of jumped down. That was also a time where I had taken, because the first 2 years was real success. I was ready
Mm.
to take some business loan and invest so much more into the business. That's exactly when the kind of business slided down. So I ended up with lots of debt and the business not working as how it was
Mm.
anticipated. So at that time, I had to pull myself out of the issue, the financial issue, as well as the career itself was kind of blocked. I did not know what other profession to go into, or how am I going to tackle this kind of a
Mm.
failure. It was to a point where I just cannot continue doing that business. I had to look into something else.
Mm.
It was at the verge of kind of bankruptcy. I was contemplating bankruptcy, but then I was just not wanting to go into that. So that's when I started searching in YouTube something. I'm not sure what I searched for, but I listened to Dr. Joe Dispenza for the first time. Would you know about Dr. Joe Dispenza?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess everybody in the self improvement side of things would kind of know him. But yes, it was through him I got to know about the Secret movie. And I watched The Secret, and I also started listening to him, where he was talking about it's our own beliefs that is creating our reality. So that was the very first time that I ever had a failure in my life. I was this always topper of the class kind of a
Mm.
student,
Mm.
and never before that have I ever had any kind of failures in my life. So I did not, especially that was the year I was anticipating to hit $1 million in sales, but everything kind of flopped down, and I was like
Mm.
shocked at how am I supposed to handle this. But anyways, the movie led me to understand that it was me who created that failure, which means that I just have to fix something within me, and that
Mm-hmm.
would help my reality change. So I don't have to run outside the world and try to change things. Instead, it's just within me that I have to change. That was also
Mm.
a time where I also kind of manifested certain health issues. I got to know that I had some fatty liver, and there was this fibroids and all of these little stomach related issues. So I started looking for solutions for my own problems. I had to come out of the financial debt. I had to come start making money again. Some new career profession I had to start. Also, I had to take care of my health. So it was a crucial year of my life. And at that time, that's the first time I started. After the Secret movie, I also started knowing a little bit through YouTube uh, about holistic healing. I
Mm.
guess Reiki healing was the first one that I got to know about, that I can learn it and I can start building some positivity in me. And I also was taken to past life regression hypnotherapy. So that was the first certification that I did. When I first started looking at these past life regressions, there was this famous hypnotherapist, Dolores Cannon, who has also written a lot of books. So it was her hypnotherapy based books I started reading, and also, started pursuing. I just took that certification to learn that course, to do it for myself and for people around me. So all of these little things slowly started opening up. Each thing that I did, a little healing session that I did, opened me up to receiving money. And in fact, maybe 1 or 2 months down the line after that, I had one part of my business which was still going well, but because
Mm.
of cash flow problem, I was not able to run it. So I planned to
Mm.
sell it, and I was successfully able to sell it for around $60,000 at that time, and that brought the cash flow, and that helped me pursue a new career. At that
Mm.
time, it was right after, so I had a healing session with another uh, holistic healer, and 2 days after that I was able to manifest this. So I also learned the law of attraction formulas and
Mm.
principles upon how to manifest money, success, any kind of things that you want in your life. So it was my starting stages where I started applying this, and I could see the success, the transformation that's creating in life. So that inspired me to actually have this as my new career, because I was also looking for a new profession or a new
Mm.
business to start. So this was like, wow, this was so amazing, and this
Mm.
can transform my life. So I just started uh, taking that as my new profession, and then I started getting certifications. After that, I did my soul plant reading course from the Holistic Healing College in the UK. I also did rapid transformational therapy, which is one of the famous uh, hypnotherapist in the UK. She is her name is Marisa Peer. So she's the founder of that therapy. So I got certified in that. I also learned Access Consciousness, which is also one of the other famous holistic healing modalities. So a lot of different modalities that I learned. I also got certified as a certified money coach from the Money Coaching Institute in the US.
Mm.
So many different things. It was like I was just going through education, doing a lot of different certifications, and then I came out into the world doing the service to the world.
Mm. And tell me a little more about this law of attraction and how you learn to manifest like money and success or other things that we want in life. What is sort of the underlying philosophy there?
Beautiful. The underlying philosophy for manifestation is, first of all, understanding that I'm the creator of my life. Whether it's today's interview show, or everything that is happening in life, I'm manifesting it. If we can first acknowledge that, whether it's an accident, whether it's a bad event or a good event, everything that is happening in our life, we are manifesting it. I'm manifesting my own life. So if I can first take up that first self responsibility, understanding I created this, meaning I can
Mm.
change it as well. And it is my vibrational frequency that is creating my reality. So, for example, when I say vibrational frequency, it consists of my thoughts, my emotions, my belief systems, my perspectives, my energies in general. What energy state am I being? So, all
Mm-hmm.
of this together, put together, creates my vibrational frequency. That even as I speak, there is a vibration that is getting emanated from me that goes out into the world and attracts to me things that are in similar vibration. So
Mm-hmm.
it's bringing that to me. So just like today's podcast, the interview. So maybe I was maybe looking for, or I was sending out that vibrations of I'm ready to show myself out into the world. So
Mm-hmm.
automatically, such interview shows or things are getting manifested in my world. And this is how, especially the first time, as I said, the first point that I was in, I had to manifest somebody to buy my business. Especially, I was at that time, I was in a very low vibrational frequency. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
negative thoughts, feelings, emotions might have been going through me at that
Mm-hmm.
state. So it really helped. There were certain tools, certain kind of meditations that actually helped me put myself into that positive vibration. I was doing meditations on a regular basis because I saw every time I did a meditation, after that I was feeling positive. I knew that
Mm-hmm.
only if I can feel positive, positive feelings, positive emotions, positive thoughts, only then I can manifest positivity in my life. So I literally had to kind of shift and change my thoughts, feelings, emotions, behavioral patterns. And this is exactly what I'm actually helping my clients do as well now. Since I've learned how to do it, I'm just teaching it and doing it one on one as I do the sessions as well.
Mm. Yeah, that's very interesting. One thought popped into my mind as you were speaking. If we start realizing how much we manifest ourselves through our vibrations and our thoughts and emotions and so on, and our belief system, how can we avoid feeling guilty or feeling like regret when something really bad happens in our lives, other than, because what I hear from you, it's more about moving forward and realizing that we are not victims, we can change something. But I can imagine for some events people will feel like, oh my god, if I manifested that, how horrible, or feeling really bad about certain things. So how can we avoid that?
Beautiful, a wonderful question, Sabrina. It's amazing. So this was one of my major concerns. Actually, almost a year when I got started learning law of attraction,
Mm,
I always saw myself going into the space of judging myself that oh something is wrong. I'm not able to do this. I had huge self judgment. Initial first year, I still remember at one point I was even like, oh this thing is not working. I'm not going to do this any longer and all of that.
mm,
But again, it was through my healing journey. That's when my healing journey began. I was literally receiving healing sessions at least once a week from so many different healing practitioners. And
mm-hmm,
each of these healing sessions, as I go in and I come out of it, my self judgments, my self criticisms, any feeling of blame, shame, guilt, regret, all of that started releasing because these emotions, especially I guess the rapid transformational therapy that I mentioned from Marissa here in the UK, when I actually started learning it, I actually had to also receive at least 3 sessions from other practitioners.
mm,
So it was those sessions because what happens in a rapid transformational therapy, for example, is it's a 2 hour session where they take you back to your childhood, they regress you back
mm.
to your childhood days and see when did this pattern first begun.
Yes.
So for example, today if I'm thinking, oh no, this is wrong, I'm not doing it right, I created this bad event. So if I have this issue during the session, they take me back to when is the first time you felt the same way. And this kind of took me back to when I was 4 years old, 5 years old, where I was sitting in the classroom with the teacher, and the teacher, brings me the marks and says, "Oh, your score is too less. Something is wrong with you." And I felt
Mm,
the same way as I'm feeling today. So they go back and see what limiting beliefs are hidden in my subconscious mind that is
Yeah.
creating these negative thought patterns today. And and when I did those sessions, when the root of it is taken, instead of today I'm trying to change my thought and I'm not able to, instead when these kind of therapies are done, it goes into the root of it, wherever the root of that I'm not good enough is so strongly planted in my mind, which is creating 90% of my self judgments today. So these holistic healing modalities, they go into the root of it, they pull that root out. When the root comes out, now no more that tree can grow any longer. So automatically all these self judgments, self criticisms, blaming myself or others automatically gets released. So I don't have to on a daily basis kind of fight with my thoughts. Instead, when that root goes away, I know that I created this, which means if I can create bad things, I can also create good things. So
Mm.
now I just bring that positivity and I can easily switch and change the gears.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So, because the healing aspect is there and understanding that it was actually formed by a situation, then that's an empowering thought rather than something that has to put you down.
Yes, yes. And one other important aspect there that I later learned in many other holistic healing books that I tend to read, I also do a book living class where every day we are reading different books. And yes, last year we had read at least 50 books, one book a week. So these books have literally helped me grow much more. And I
Mm.
learned from the books that everything that is happening in life is for a good reason. If
Mm.
yesterday, for example, if I had manifested a bad event, instead of going into the blame, regret, shame kind of emotions, which is all, by the way, lowest frequency vibrational
Yes.
emotions to be in, blame, shame especially is at 20 or 30 frequency heads. And this is coming from something called the Map of Consciousness book by Dr. David Hawkins, where he has done an extensive research on what is the frequency vibration of different emotions. For example, love is at 500 frequency versus blame, shame is at 20 or 30 frequency. So
Yeah.
that's one of the lowest vibrations that we can be in.
Mm.
So therefore, if something bad has occurred in my life yesterday, instead of going into the blame that, oh, I did it, something is wrong with me, if I know that something is right about this that has happened yesterday. It is for a good reason. It has happened only for my highest and best good. So, what is right about it? Maybe it's just my perspective that I have labeled it as a bad event, but that's just my perspective. What if it is a good event? What if I have manifested it? If that has happened in my life, there is a good reason for it. So, this is where the access consciousness is one other major healing modality that I learned. Teaches us a question, which is what's right about this that I'm not getting. So there is nothing bad that can ever happen in life. Everything that happens in life is for a right and a good reason. If I can look at it from that perspective, if I can ask myself what is right about this, then I know that, oh, this happened in my life in order to teach this kind of a thing. And once I get it, now there is no chance for any bad events to happen in my life.
Mm. So, even the most painful events can be turned into some sort of superpower by that, because
Absolutely.
yeah, we understand that we can actually support others then, or, teach, as you say. Is there in all this teaching about holistic healing and so on, is there a thought about the difference between the consciousness of an adult and a child in terms of being able to understand that? Or is it generally any human being, no matter how old, no matter where, what they have gone through already, how many years they have been in this conscious life? Is there a differentiation between that or not?
With regards to the children, imagine the children as a little child as they are born right now. They are being born with a fresh, mind. But what
Hmm.
happens even when we are in the womb of the mother? We tend to take up certain belief patterns, certain thoughts and emotions of our mother. So when we are doing holistic healing sessions, let's say a client comes up and says, I'm having this kind of a failure that's happening in my life over and over again. We look at the childhood patterns. We ask, okay, how were you in the school as a child? And maybe the client says at the age of 3, I was a fearful child. I always had that kind of fear in my life, which I also see. For example, then we might ask about their parents. So, how has been your parents? Do you see the same pattern in any of your parents? Maybe your mom was fearful or your father was fearful, and most likely
Mm-hmm.
the clients tend to say, "Yeah, my mom always is this kind of a fearful person," and and at that time we are able to see it's just an what we call as an absorbed pattern. So we just absorb it from our parents even when they are in the womb. So we have something called the womb healing that we then do to the clients if we see that it has absorbed even while they were in the womb. When we do that kind of a healing, it just releases all these ancestral and parental patterns that we have taken up that kind of continues in our life. So, with that being said, from a law of attraction perspective, then, if even as a child, let's say 3 year old, 4 year old kid is still manifesting their own life, um, but the belief systems are most likely that they have gotten from their parents. So therefore,
Mm.
they are manifesting a similar reality as their parents at that young age. It's only after a certain time when the child kind of leaves away from their parents or started, learning from teachers and building new belief systems that might not be the same as their parents. Then they start creating a different reality from there.
That's super interesting. And as you are speaking, I was thinking of my own experience in that regard, but also my clients' experiences, where that manifests very, I mean, there's such a strong correlation between what we absorb, from our parents and how we carry that forward. And the more we are conscious about that, the more we can influence positively.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, so that's really powerful. I was thinking about another thing that you mentioned in the beginning, that even physically you had very strong symptoms at some point. You manifested some health issues. And can you talk a bit about that aspect of the healing?
Sure, yes. And specifically right now, as I said, we have a physical healing center where we are also doing healing sessions all over the world through online.
Mm,
And so here, our major focus is on health issues. Even though there are sessions for financial issues, there's also sessions for relationship issues. So we tend to handle 360-degree all areas of life. But health is one of the most important ones. And interestingly, the root cause of the health issues also lies within our emotional state of being. So,
mm,
for example, when I had fibroids and then I had to start doing healing sessions for myself, I found that there was a lot of guilt attached, a lot of guilt emotions that usually gets stored up in the lower part of our stomach, which is also called um, the sacral chakra or the energy center.
yeah, yeah.
So that's where all the guilt usually gets stored up. So I had a lot of guilt around as I had that failure. I was feeling that, just like anybody else, I was feeling it's all my mistake. I shouldn't have done that.
Mm,
So a lot of guilt was attached to it, and that has led to this kind of fibroids. And I had a lot of stomach-related digestive issues. I also, at one point in time, I had a lot of back pain that came in. The back pain means that I'm not feeling supported. So all of this information is coming from the book Heal Your Body by Bruce Hay, which has a huge kind of tabular column which gives us all the health issues and what the root causes of that is.
mm,
So in my case, it was exactly as how the book says. And when I started doing healing sessions, so for example, I was in US living my life all alone, and that's when I had this major financial setback that came in.
mm,
Obviously, I didn't feel supported by others,
yes.
and I was all alone facing it all by myself. Obviously, that's the reason the back pain came in.
Mm,
Whenever I feel not being supported by the world and I'm feeling that I cannot support myself, we manifest back pain. When
yes.
it comes to the fibroids, it was the guilt that I had. So each of these different health issues, for example, cancer. This comes in as a result of long-standing resentment. If I have resentment towards a particular person, and if it is too long of a time, it usually gets manifested as cancer in our body. So each of these different kinds of body health issues, even if it is a simple headache or a fever or cold, even that has specific emotional root causes that is creating the health issues. So
Mm-hmm.
when a client comes to us and says, I have frequent cold over and over again, once in every 2 weeks I get cold, we see that it's usually when a person is feeling bombarded, like over pressure in their life, not having a balanced life, maybe working, overworking, also if they are not following their soul purpose, their true life purpose, then again they might manifest recurring health issues. So we look into their life. How is your life? What is it that you're doing in your profession? How does your day look like? We do something called a lifestyle analysis. When do you wake up? When do you sleep? What do you do
Mm.
overall to spend time for yourself and all of that? So when we analyze it, it's easier to understand how they are manifesting that kind of health issue in their life. And once we do that analysis, then we help them. In my way of doing the healing, I guess I've taken a little different approach to help the clients heal themselves. Instead of me being the healer and doing healing for them, I've
Mm-hmm.
taken a little bit of coaching side of aspect where I'm
Mm-hmm.
helping them shift and change their life. And I also give them certain meditations that they can do by themselves in order to do that self healing process. So I have made it more from a coaching plus self healing so that I can empower others to heal themselves rather than making them dependent on me as a healer. So that's
Mm.
my approach that I've taken.
Yes, and interesting. I mean, the cold, the frequent cold, and also the back pains. I think many people who will listen to this or watch this will be able to relate. I know for cancer, maybe some people will feel a bit of a resistance to say like, oh, I'm resenting someone so much that I'm creating cancer actually. So do you have clients in your center where you have seen that there was even for cancer like a rapid healing process once they went through that?
Yes, we have had few clients, especially since we are doing this online. 90% of all
Mm-hmm.
our sessions, are from people all over the world, US, UK, Australia, kind of countries where we have a lot of clients. And we do all these sessions Zoom. When it comes to energy healing, it can be done from any part of the world, and of course,
Mm.
coaching 50%. So in my sessions, I focus on 50% coaching to help them shift and change those thoughts, feelings, emotional patterns. And there is 50% of healing involved that will help them heal whatever past energies is kind of stuck in them.
Mm.
So when it comes to the healing process, right now for the body side of things, we have something called the 11-day treatment, where we are doing 11 sessions consecutively, 1 hour a session for 11 days. So whether it's cancer or whatever other health issues are, we just do one 11-day treatment, and then we give them certain set of meditations and tools and exercises and new kind of lifestyle routine that they can start following. So we have had at least two clients who've come to us so far from who had cancer, and this was the process they started using. And I guess the first client got a kind of came out of the cancer, was fully healed within 5 months time, but they just
Mm.
took one 11-day treatment with us, and then they just followed the routine. If required, we just give them like a monthly once follow-up session, just to make sure they are still being in positivity. The final kind of goal here is to bring their vibrational frequency higher. Most likely, when the client comes to us, they might have a lot of blame, shame, guilt, regret, and fear
Mm.
or anger,
Mm.
all these negative emotions. So during the 11-day process, they just shift and change and let go of all these anger and negative emotions. And then they are ready to continue that positivity. Daily meditations, maybe we might recommend some yoga side of things, some kind of body activity that we tend to give. maybe change in some kind of diet depending on where they are and what they love. Also changing their lifestyle with regards to what is it that they truly love to do in their life, and then helping them pursuing that as their main profession. If they are in a profession, for example, a job that they absolutely hate, that would only increase the negativity in them. So
Mm,
a
mm,
total life change has to come in, but we just take it, baby step at a time and see what is happening in their life. If there is a negative relationship that is happening, let's say, between a wife and a husband, that the wife
mm,
is with, the husband, but there's always a conflict happening between them. This again creates a lot of negativity in their life. So we help them heal the relationship so they can have a positive relationship. So overall, when we increase the vibrational frequency of the person into positive zone, and if they sustain it, maintain it to quite a number of, few months at least, automatically all those, diseases or whatever the health issues are automatically gets healed. So that's the
mm.
process.
Super interesting. And I'm just thinking that then so much is dependent on also how open someone is to really fully immerse themselves into the process, right?
Absolutely. And even before they actually book in the session, we kind of give them a summary of this is what you can expect from the session. And it is your openness and willingness to change that is going to help us, kind of guide you in the positive direction. So, yes, it's totally because it's you who can heal yourself. We cannot heal you. And this is what exactly we tell the clients as well. The only person who can help you heal is yourself. Are you totally willing to
Mm,
do this? And it's a process of change. So, whatever your behavioral patterns have been in the past has led to this kind of health issue. And now we have to change those behavioral patterns so you can create a healthy body for yourself. So, are you ready and willing to do these kind of changes? And most of them are like totally willing to do it. That's when they join the program.
mm. What would you say to someone who knows that they would benefit from this, but there's that fear like, oh my God, what will open up if I really, take that step? Because often as human beings, we shy away from, we know it's good for us, but we still shy away from taking the final step.
Yes, absolutely. And I've had a lot of people who message me, who ask me questions, and I do sense that kind of fear within them.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, I guess we are all only when I trust myself that yes, I can do this. Let's say I have this kind of health issue or I have this financial issue.
Mm,
Only when I truly start trusting myself that yes, I can create this change, only then I will be ready to invest, take up that healing treatment for myself. So, but also what happens overall is most of us lack that kind of self belief in ourselves that I can do
mm,
this. So, this is the major cause of those doubts. What if this doesn't work? What if I invest and nothing happens? Or what if I'm not able to make those changes? Everything falls under the same category of lack of self trust, lack of
yes.
self belief that I can create this for myself. So I guess there is a kind of a moment in time where a person truly realizes and acknowledges that, oh, I think I can do this. You know, it automatically happens. Let's say maybe I just had a conversation with somebody maybe a month back, and this month they would come back to me and say, hey, Vishnu, I'm ready to take up the session. But that 1 month is a time frame where they are working on themselves to build that self trust and self belief.
Mm,
At any
mhm.
point in time when they come to me and say, hey, I'm ready for the session, it means they have created that change in themselves. Now they are totally willing to go for it. So if it takes 1 month, so be it, or if it takes even longer, I'm like, this is what it is. Whenever you feel ready for this, jump in. That's the kind of open invitation that I give to others.
Mm. I think that's really beautiful because what you are talking about in essence is also this letting go of any attachment, and fully accepting, okay, there's a process that has to happen before I'm ready for something.
Absolutely, yes. And knowing that from as a healer, understanding that every person has their own journey. Whenever that person is ready for it, they will jump on. So understanding that will also help, we as healers to be in allowance and acceptance of them to take their own time,
Mm.
as how they would like it to be.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, is there a belief or an opinion in this holistic healing philosophy about like every human being will eventually go through that process of acceptance and realization, let me put it that way, and then healing? Or is it really that certain human beings will live their life never getting to that point?
Um, at the end of the day, from whatever I have learned so far, self
Mm-hmm.
realization is the ultimate goal of all humanity, and all of us will reach there certainly. And that's how the universe and that's how the planet Earth was itself created. With it will take each soul, each being is gonna take their own time, so to speak, on how long they would like the journey to be. It could be,
Mm-hmm.
maybe lifetimes after lifetimes, the story continues
Mm-hmm.
as we continue learning. So at the end of the day, self-realization, according to me, is me learning certain qualities, soul qualities or soul lessons. So just like how you said, acceptance, forgiveness, unconditional love, self-belief, self-trust, all these elements. And this is exactly what we tend to do in the coaching sessions as well. So for example, if a client comes to me and says, I have this kind of relationship issue constantly, there's this conflict between me and my spouse. So the first question we tend to ask is, what is it that you think you're learning from this? What is the soul lesson? Once the client understands the soul lesson, then they'll be able to let go of that pattern, either have another spouse come into their life, or their spouse, the current spouse, shifts and changes as a result of the change within them. So in this case,
Mm-hmm.
it could be kindness, compassion, forgiveness, unconditional love, letting go of judgment about the other person. There could be a lot of different lessons that comes in. This is why I have coupled the coaching plus healing,
Mm.
because without this coaching, people wouldn't understand, oh, now I understand why this conflict is happening. Because there
Yes.
is, lack of compassion, there is lack of forgiveness. I understand this kind of issue happened 2 years back. Prior to that, I was really loving to my spouse. But this event happened 2 years back, and from there, it has been always conflict. And now I understand that event, the other lady, for example, who came in during this event, I have a lot of resentment towards the other lady and to my husband or to my spouse, and I'm not ready to forgive them. That has
Mm.
created all these conflicts. So now I see it, and then during the session we also have forgiveness meditation. We also use the Ho'oponopono technique when required. So all of these tools, we have so many set of different tools that we tend
Mm.
to use to help the client learn those lessons. So therefore, every issue, every challenge, whether it's health issue, relationship issue, financial issue, all of these at the end of the day is happening in our life only because it had to teach some lessons. So I'll give you my personal example. So I said that my business kind of had a downfall all of a sudden. And then when I started my own healing process, the first question was, what is it that I'm trying to learn? And there came the lessons of self worth. So at that moment in time, almost like for a year, I had no income and I had this huge downfall, and my self worth totally felt like I'm nothing. I have zero
Yes.
self worth because I have no money, my life looks like this. I learned all of these different master's degree and all of that, but there's no job, there's no money, and I
Mm.
felt I'm of zero value. So
Mm.
from there, in order to change the situation, in order for that business to be sold and for that 60,000 to come in, the first lesson that I had to learn is, regardless of whether I'm making money or not, regardless of whether I'm achieving my goals or not, my self-worth is always 100%. My skills,
Mm.
my abilities, my talents, I am worthy of success, the worthiness aspect. When I learned that lesson, that was the core reason why 2 days after that the money came to me. when I sold my business. But that lesson was the primary step that I had to kind of cross over in order for that money flow to come in. So, similar to this, every event in life teaches us some or the other lesson. When I learn the lesson, then the shift happens, the pattern kind of goes out of the
Mm,
business. So, learning these lessons, to come to your question now, every lifetime, every event that is happening in our life is teaching us these lessons, and we are growing as a human, and the spiritual growth that we have. So, there will reach a time when we reach that self realization, as you know, many beings who have been on this planet is said to have reached that self realization state,
mm,
after which it is said that you know a being might not have to come back to planet Earth. It's said that the Earth is just a school, that we are here to learn these lessons, and once we graduate, which is the self realization, you know, we don't have to come back. But until then, the fun of life continues, and the lessons continues as well.
which is such a beautiful way of looking at it, not uh, it's like a hopeful way that you learn and you learn as you grow, and it's all that's what the sense is like for us to grow, and we have this chance to really grow every day and every lifetime, which is awesome. So just one last personal question. In terms of then looking at the world today, do you feel because there's all this discussion in the conscious revolution about a really very strong disconnect of so many people in this world from who they really are, what their life lessons would be if they wanted to see them. So do you, as someone who has gone through a very strong healing process, do you also feel that way, or would you say that's just the nature of this life on earth where we have to go through all these lessons?
I would take the perspective of everything is always perfect, and yes, there might be a lot of people who are going through a lot of struggles in their life, but at the end of the day, everything we have chosen this for ourselves. So I might have to use the word soul or higher self, or however you mention, you
Mm-hmm.
know, regardless of the word. So it is my own soul who have chosen this kind of life for myself, and I'm just a character playing this role. So for example, you know, me as Vishnupriya is just a role that I'm playing in this particular movie, but the original hero of all these different movies are my soul, and my soul has chosen to act this particular movie as Vishnupriya.
Mm.
And the script has been created in a way that I will learn whatever lessons that my soul wants to learn, the soul qualities that the soul wants to develop in this lifetime automatically kind of gets um, learned in this lifetime. So therefore, I'm also a soul plan reading certified practitioner from the Holistic Healing College. So what the soul plan says is that there is a kind of a plan that each of us have crafted for ourselves. It's not destiny or somebody else, made this for
Mm.
us. It's just ourselves. So that's the major difference. I've heard a lot of people say, oh, it's destiny. I have no control over the destiny.
Mm.
That's not the way it is. Instead, it's my own soul who has chosen that, okay, I'll be born to this kind of parents, I'll have these kind of challenges in my life, I'll have these kind of talents, and I'll achieve these kind of goals in this lifetime. So, this is what the soul plan reading has: the challenges, the talents, and the goals that we will be achieving. And the struggling part is, in fact, it's like going to the gym, and we take the weights, and it is
Mm.
painful to actually take the weights
Mm.
to actually build up the muscle. But we don't look at it from a pain perspective. We see that, oh yeah, my muscles are getting built as a result of the
Mm.
heavy lifting. So it's a very similar process. The struggle is only happening in the movie, but the soul itself is not affected due to the struggle or due to the pain and suffering that might be happening. But what is happening, as I said, it's easier to understand it from a weight's
Mm.
perspective that
Mm.
I'm taking. I know that my muscle is getting built from a soul perspective. This character called Vishnupriya, or the human body, gets dissolved at the end of this lifetime. So the pain and suffering that God is getting, experienced, kind of gets dissolved when the body gets dissolved. But the soul, when it goes back, it just takes up, oh, I increased my self worth by 10% this lifetime. I increased my self love. I learned forgiveness. I understood, or I started showing unconditional love 53% in this lifetime. So that's
Mm.
my scores. Now
Mm.
I might choose to come back as another character in the next lifetime with an intention. In this lifetime, I would like to increase my unconditional love to 75%, my forgiveness to this, my compassion, I would like to increase it to 32%, and then the percentages are just, for understanding
Yeah,
purposes.
to make it a bit more
Yeah, easier
visual.
to
Yeah.
understand for us. But anyways, so that's the kind of choice that the soul is making and coming in. But as I said, the pain and suffering that we feel like, imagine it really as a movie, that you go to a movie theater, you watch the movie, the hero is struggling so much, but then you know that the actual hero of the movie, who might be, this famous celebrity, he did not actually go through that pain and suffering.
Mm.
It's only in the movie, right? The actual celebrity has a celebrity status with millions or billions of dollars and a beautiful car, but he's acting as a poor guy in the movie. So
Mm.
just because he acted as a poor guy in the movie doesn't mean he's gonna have that trauma inside of him, right? So it
Mm.
really feels funny when I say it that way, but that's exactly what's happening from a soul. And imagine that the hero is my soul and I'm just the character playing this role, and my pain and suffering doesn't cause anything to my soul. The soul gets the lessons and it gets the celebrity status, for example, when I'm increasing my self-worth and unconditional love
Mm.
and all those beautiful qualities that I develop in this lifetime. So that's my perspective about life.
Oh, that's really a hopeful, a very, oops, sorry, a very a very positive way of looking at it, which I think can first be a little overwhelming for people who hear it for the first time. But I think once we go deeper into the whole thinking of, hey, this is a lesson you learn, and this is something that you can take away from that, but it doesn't mean your soul gets like injured or traumatized. All you do is build your soul muscle, your qualities. um,
Exactly.
that's really, it can give so much hope and energy.
Beautiful. Super.
Yeah. Well, I think that's actually even a beautiful ending to our conversation, because it gives hope and can give energy, and people can walk out of this conversation feeling like, oh, wow, I can shape so much. And, I'm not a helpless person in this game or in this play or movie. Is there anything that you would like to add as an end statement?
Sure. I guess overall, the moral of the story of this
Mm-hmm.
interview would be that you are the creator of your life. You get to choose what is it that you would like to have in your life. And if there is any issues, whether it's relationship issue, financial issue, health issue, whatever challenges that you're facing in life, exists for a good reason, and it is only making you a better person. So you can get out of any kind of traumatic situations that you are in, and you can create a new beautiful life. You have the
Mm.
power to create your desires, you can manifest it. And there is so many tools these days. In fact, all of these holistic healing modalities have come in only in the past 30 years. Most of the when I research back a little bit, it's just in the past 30 years all these modalities have come in. So today we have the opportunities that our previous generation did not have. And for me, it was the holistic healing world that helped me come out of all this deep trauma, which
Mm.
might have taken, tens or hundreds of years for somebody. But for me, it was just a process of 2 to 3 years of, going through this process. And, I was a person who was contemplating bankruptcy, and today here is where I am within a frame of 3 to 4 years. So you can do this as well. I guess the conversation is really to empower you to understand the power is within you. you can create any kind of change in your life. And these days, there's so much support available, especially through internet and through the holistic healing. So my website is zeropointhealing.com, which is also a directory. So I also have a directory of holistic healing practitioners from all over the world. There's more than
Mm.
500 to 600 practitioners who are registered on the directory at this time. So, there's so much help available, as well as with my own centers. As I said, we are giving the 11-day treatment and many other
Mm.
kind of business and financial programs if you would like to receive our support as well. So that's my message to you.
Thank you very much, Vishnupriya, and thank you so much for your time and diving really deep into the whole philosophy behind the different healing processes.
Thank you, Sabrina, for giving me this opportunity, and thanks to all the viewers and listeners who are listening to us. Thank you so much, and you can contact me if you have any questions. We also give some free consultations, so you can go to the
Awesome.
website for any information.
Wonderful. Then have a great rest of your day. It's a bit later where you are, and we'll definitely speak soon again.
Thank you so much, Sabrina. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.